I met this guy in New Zealand from Nepal at a club performing a gig. And he was like, I'm a psytrance guy. Like, yeah, I told him I was also into psytrance events. And psychedelic trance, for anyone who doesn't know what that is. It's just a type of music. And he was like, yeah, man, like I make event, I like organize events and stuff. I'll fly you over, blah, blah, blah. Right. I was like, yeah, whatever, drunk people talk. And then I hit him up and he was serious. And so basically we flew over there and it was a whole shebang. But basically, like, ultimately we took like I don't even remember exactly, but it was like a 24 hour like bus ride through Nepal from I believe, was it from Kathmandu? I think so. Yeah. And like into the mountains and like up really remote areas and shit. And like, because of the crowd, I mean, the whole bus instantly turned into like a massive smoke session.
Oh, wow.
And like, I was sitting there and everyone was like just puffing away at cigarettes, but there was clearly marijuana smell in the air. And so I'm like, ask some guy and I'm like, yo, bro, like, where would like, hypothetically speaking, where would someone that was just full of like Jewish people, like people from Israel and shit.
Oh, random.
Yeah. It was really strange.
Yeah.
And like, and Indians and some Nepali.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, where would someone, purchase some, some illegal materials, Like, I was just being very, and he's like, he laughs and he goes, bro, just literally just got to shout on this bus. And then he turns around and like, kind of like ignores me again. And I'm just sitting there like, do I just shout weed? Like on the, like, what, what the hell, what am I,
That's so random.
Yeah. And it was just like, okay. And so like half an hour later, the guy behind me taps me on the shoulder. And he's like, I turn around, it's this Indian guy, and he just like hands me like this something, and I'm like, okay, and I put my hand out, and it's a ball of hash, and I'm like, oh, cool, man, like how much do I owe? He's like, no, man, it's love, all love, you take, and I'm like, holy shit, okay, so I don't know how do you smoke? I don't know, I've never, I've never really smoked hash before, obviously it's weed, but it's not like so I just like take it and like roll it up into a little ball. Yeah, and I shove it in the tip of my cigarette.
Some people smoke it like that.
Yeah. And like I just kept like lighting a bit and then like smoking it. Yeah. And then like rolling it up again and shoving another ball.
Yeah.
And I'm like just going at it. And this fucking bus driver, man, he's going ape shit, driving like there's a fucking cliff face this, right? Yeah. I mean, but like I was just like, what the fuck? I'm high as balls, right? He's driving. Like he's overtaking in a cliff corner and just going boop, boop before the turn. Can't see anything in the other side. Just overtakes. And if there's a fucking another bus coming, we're fucked, like basically. Yeah. And he just goes, well, I guess, we'll just gamble it. We'll just gamble it.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there like high as giraffe titties, just holding onto my seat going, oh my God, what the fuck are we doing? Right.
Yeah.
And that happens over and over. And this guy behind me, before I've even finished what I had, he half an hour later hands me another little ball. And I'm like, bro, I haven't finished the, he's like, all love, bro. And I'm like, I can't smoke this much, man. So it was just like, I was just trying to like finish what he had given me and he's just handing me more. And then at one point, the Jewish guys go, do you want to try chilum? I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Chilam.
Yeah. So they take this like ceramic pipe and put like toasted tobacco in there and bunch of hash in it, and you like light it upside down like this, and you just take puffs and they pass it around. And
they have a cloth.
Yeah, with the cloth. Yep.
And
it was like first of all, it was like great experience because it's like I've never tried consuming
this.
That's
OG Indian style. I mean, like that area style.
Yeah. And I was like, this is fucking cool, man. Yeah. This is better than a travel brochure, I'll tell you that. But anyway, so we spend 20 hours, whatever, get to this point where the festival's supposed to happen. But before that happens, we get stopped by the police at a checkpoint. Well, actually, before that, let me just say, there was military checkpoints like every, whatever, few, 20 kilometers or whatever.
Yeah.
And so someone in the front of the bus would just stop, kind of like, not stop, would just kind of lean in and go, stop the smoke. And then everyone would, like, there's just, it's hot boxed. So there's just clearly weed smell in the air. Like there's no way of everyone would just sort of like put their cigarettes down. And we'd pass through a military checkpoint. They'll sort of like pay the guy or whatever the fuck,
Oh,
and then we just
wow.
keep going through. And I'm like,
Damn.
that's not doing shit. We might as well keep smoking, but you know, I'm sure they're just bribing them or whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
And
And
so
they probably don't even care.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so we get to this fucking remote place. We get stopped by the police, and so now we're just like sort of waiting to. They're trying to call the organizers. The organizers aren't picking up. It's a whole shebang. And so I'm like, oh well, I guess we might as well just get out and explore. So we just sort of in this village, you know, in the top of this mountain in the fucking Himalayan mountains, and so we're just like meeting the locals. We get invited in the house, like sort of same sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I mean, this is a one-time thing. I just pull out my cards. I start doing magic training. I made a video on it, so if you guys want to see it, it's Eduard Todor Magic in Nepal. It's kind of encompasses that. And then we ultimately get turned back. The police don't allow the festival to keep going. And I actually overhear at one point someone mention like drugs, like the word drugs.
Yeah.
And I have this ball of hash in my hand. And so it's palmed, right? So I'm just like, okay, yeah, I see where this is going. I'm not about to be a statistic like the tourists fucking,
Yeah.
you know?
Don't want to be
And
that.
so I'm just eating bag of chips. And as I'm eating the bag of chips, I pop the ball of hash in my mouth with
oh
the
my
chip.
God.
And I'm like, I'm not going to be caught with fucking hash in a fucking
Yeah.
third world country. You know, I mean, I'm already scared that they're going to plant something on me. You know, that's because it's that sort of vibe.
Yeah.
And so they didn't. They just wanted money from the organizers, essentially.
Okay.
But we ended up having to like camp in a tent with these like random Arab dudes because we didn't have a tent. We were expecting to like be housed somewhere at the festival because that's what the organizer said. And so we just like, there's no space at the hotel that was like the nearest hotel sort of thing. And so like the police wouldn't let us leave. So we just had to sleep there for the night. And so like, we just like, someone had a tent and they're like, you want to come in the tent? Yeah, sure. Fuck it. You know, I'm not going to sleep outside in the fucking freezing Himalayan Alps or whatever the fuck. And we woke up to like a storm and there's just water running down this mountain. And like, we're literally ankle deep in water, getting all our shit, trying to not get the camera wet. But the point is, I didn't realize that hash is activated. So you technically, when you swallow it, you're still ingesting. Like, you know, weed, like you don't, if you eat it, nothing happens.
Right.
But
I didn't know that.
yeah, so it turns out that you definitely do.
Yeah.
And I passed the fuck out. So, but it was perfect because we just got in the tent.
Oh yeah.
So it was like, you know, it could have
Worked out
been
pretty well.
way worse because
Yeah.
I could have just been like zonked out somewhere with police trying to fucking get money from us or whatever.
Yeah.
So thank fuck for that.
Damn.
But like,
What a story.
yeah,
God damn.
yeah. So that's how my shit ended.
Yeah.
And then we ended up getting a taxi and going down to like the nearest airport, which was Biratnagar. Very small airport, smallest fucking airport I've ever been to.
Yeah.
And I was just waiting for the plane, so I was doing magic there. So I did a magic a bunch, you know,
Cool.
throughout. But like that remote village thing was definitely the highlight. Because
Yeah.
it was just like, man, like this is quite similar vibes to what I found in Solomon Islands when I went. Like I went and did, we went with Amy because she's from Solomon Islands. And like the whole time I was like, okay, I want to come up with something that's going to be basically like relate to them like really well, right?
Cool.
And all they do there is they piala, smoke piala,
Yeah.
which is cigarettes,
Yeah.
and and like basically just like when they have money, drink alcohol. Otherwise, just like fish and eat
Cool.
whatever's
That
going
sounds
on.
great.
Yeah, I mean it's a very chill life.
Yeah.
You know, they got like massive forests and they cut down trees and you know whatever the hell they do.
Amazing.
And so I came up with this trick where it's a sealed pack of cigarettes that someone hands me.
Yeah.
Sorry, someone picks a card and I'm trying to like read their mind and I can't read their mind. I'm like, fuck it, like just hand me a cigarette, right? And so he opens up the cigarette packet, pops it open, hands me a cigarette. I take the cigarette and I try to light it and it's like not lighting. And then I hold it up in the sunlight and it's like, you can see like a card inside the cigarette and I open it up and it's the card that he was thinking about.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And like, I just remember the next day or maybe that night even, I don't remember exactly. We went to some other island nearby.
Yeah.
There was like a bar, which was just like a house with a pool table and drinks.
Sounds great.
A bar,
Yeah.
basically. And somehow, no, he was like, I could hear them talking about the cigarette trick still. And then the next day we went to a different island and they had already heard about it. So like, it
Wow.
was just like, information was spreading
Amazing.
old school style,
Amazing.
boat by boat, baby.
That's how like magic became famous in the past like that. It's like the stories about people doing amazing things.
Yeah,
That's
but like,
awesome.
I was
Yeah.
like, so that those two are like probably the two highlight performances I've ever done,
Yeah.
because it's so like you connect with them on such a base level and like such a
core sort of like experience.
exactly,
for
yeah.
them
And
where-
it's like even if you don't speak the same language, you've never lived in the same sort of area, but on some level you understand each other. Like, you know what I mean?
There's a universal sort of like like magic in many ways is a universal form of connecting with one another. It's just seeing something impossible happen together, and we all know what's supposed to be possible and impossible, and then connecting on that like that level where like, look, this is magic, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's really wonderful.
You just watched a highlight of the hugely popular Eduard Todor podcast. We got millions of viewers that you've never seen. They're nowhere. They're viewing though. You can believe me on that. Like, follow, subscribe, all this shit, man. Do it. Help us out. If you want to see more like this, press here or here or here. Everywhere. If you want to see the full episode, there's links in the description to the episode and the podcast channel. Go check it out. I'm waiting for you to check it out, man. Go check it out. I'll be here.